then you may not get it. But it's one thing you want, you get it. This is in the ethical religious sense, right? If I want to become Christian, that want in itself helps me to become one. And I want to be good, in a sincere way. I want to transform myself. I was an angry man. I don't want to be angry again against my parents or against my roommate. And that act, that thinking itself is a transformative act, right? It's total merging of the two. And a classical example, I don't know whether that example left a very strong imprint. If you see a beautiful flower, you like it. And that seeing the beautiful flower and liking it, these two acts, these two things are totally merged. It's not possible for you to think, look at the beautiful flower, analyze it. I know it's beautiful, so I like it. The immediate sense of responding to something aesthetically appealing, you liked it. So the attitude of liking and perception of beauty totally merge. So this notion about what I think, that implicates what I think, what I want, and I get it. And for example, Confucius said, if you want humanity, that's my translation of Ren, you get it. So that idea of humanity, of course, it's a minimum requirement. It doesn't mean you become a human person all your life. You just get it, but then you cultivate it. Okay. So if you think, then you get it. So these 5 stages, you need to study it, in terms of your psychological process. First, to be able to settle fixed position. Then your mind will become tranquil. If it becomes tranquil, you will feel at home. If you're at home, it can cogitate. If it can cogitate, you get it. And the idea of getting it, this Chinese character, de, is exactly the same idea of virtue. Virtue is what you got. Now there are 2 positions. One is Aristotelian, Greek position. That's you get it from the outside. You don't have it, so you try to get it. There's also a major Chinese thinker who follows this same kind of thinking. That's Hsueh. But in the Mention and I think in the great learning idea, it's not simply something external you try to acquire, like the idea of courage, the idea of honesty, the idea of trust. All these ideas, all these virtues have their roots in our nature. So you can, the roots doesn't mean, roots do not necessarily mean they are expressed, but they are there, latent, right? So then the idea for those, say leaders, who really want to express, I think Chen Jing said, enlightened self-interest. The person who really want to express his enlightened virtue to all under heaven, if he wants to do it, in other words, to benefit the whole universe. If he wants to do it, then the first thing he wants to do is to regulate his nation, or to govern his nation. Now, in the current context, it's not possible to develop universal or global citizenship if you do not love or care for your own nation. To believe that many people just refuse to become part of a nation and become global citizen. Right now we know it's very difficult or almost impossible. Just like there was a movement, and I call it abstract universalism. It doesn't work. A movement to develop a language for the whole world. You know what language was that?
Esperanto.
Esperanto. How many of you can speak Esperanto? No. So Bernard Shaw was a great proponent of Esperanto, all these people. Of course, right now I'm not sure, at least 10 or 15 years ago, the community of Esperanto speaking community existed only in China. The number of people that communicate with Esperanto. I don't know what they communicate because nobody understood. So you have to learn your own language well. Right? Bernard Shaw is noted for his great accomplishment in English literature. Ba Jing's his great accomplishment in Chinese literature. So you really have to have distinctive nations. So you govern your country. If you want to govern your country well, then you regulate your family. If you regulate your families well, then you cultivate your person. The notion then from the emperor So this is totally ecumenical. Ecumenical meaning applied to everyone. This is not at all elitist. Some scholars, very good scholars in China, argue with me, say, look, this idea of self-cultivation is elitist. How can a worker cultivate himself? He comes back so tired, he drinks beer, looking at TV, and sometimes beats up his wife. What cultivation you're talking about? Or a farmer who has to eke out a livelihood is extremely painful. Now, self-cultivation, think about it. If a worker, kind of a worker that decides it's not a good idea to beat up my wife, that is self-cultivation. I don't have to spend all this time drinking beer to get myself, out of shape. If the minute he thinks something will have to be changed, of course, people urge him to change. Certainly his wife and others. That's self-cultivation. So from the emperor to the commoner, each would consider self-cultivation as the root. It's the point of departure for our learning to be human. Okay. Now we look at this self-cultivation in terms of two dimensions. One is extension to the family, to nation, to all under heaven. That is internal dynamics. That internal dynamics is not easy to understand. There are a lot of controversies, but we want to get the general picture. If you want to cultivate yourself, first you have to rectify your heart and mind. Self-cultivation is the cultivation of the body, but the most important part of the body in shaping one's character is the heart and mind. As I noted before, the Chinese word xin is both cognitive and affective. So it involves both cognitive thinking, but also affective, meaning emotional attachment. Both intellectual commitment and emotional attachment are involved. So the assumption is you cannot think without feeling. You cannot will without feeling. Pure thinking and pure will, like Descartes thinks it's possible. It's not possible. Experiential. So you rectify your heart. If your heart is easily swayed by emotions, like anger, joy, any kind of emotion, your heart is not rectified. So you rectify your heart as a basis for cultivating your person. In order to rectify your heart and mind, you need to make your will